Welcome to Seniors Together, the channel where we uncover the secrets of brain health and explore how to nurture a resilient mind. Today, we're diving into a subject that many of us fear: Alzheimer's disease. Just the thought of waking up one day unable to remember your child's name, not recognizing your spouse, or getting lost inside your own home can be heartbreaking. But I want you to see this topic from a different perspective. Alzheimer's is not just a warning sign of what might go wrong. It's also an invitation to discover how powerful and adaptable the brain truly is when given the right care. Science has shown that Alzheimer's is not an unchangeable destiny. In fact, research from Harvard and the Mayo Clinic has revealed that lifestyle plays a bigger role than we often realize. Eating a brain-healthy diet, getting quality sleep, staying physically active, managing stress, and continuing to learn new things. All of these factors significantly reduce the risk of cognitive decline. That means you don't have to sit back and wait for fate to decide. You can take steps right now to build a stronger, more resilient brain. Think of your brain as a garden. If neglected, weeds take over, pests cause damage, and the garden withers. But with care, watering, pruning, planting new seeds, it can thrive and bloom. The same goes for the brain. Small, consistent acts of care today can lead to lasting strength and vitality tomorrow. In this journey, you and I will explore the differences between normal forgetfulness and the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Discover how the brain changes as the disease begins. And most importantly, learn science-backed strategies for building resilience against it. If you truly want to protect yourself and your loved ones from a condition that robs people of their memories, stay with me until the very end, because each chapter will give you a vital piece of the bigger picture of brain health. First, imagine a familiar situation. You walk into the kitchen to grab something but suddenly stop, forgetting why you came in. Or maybe you temporarily forget the name of a famous actor, only to remember it a few minutes later. This is what we call normal forgetfulness, something that naturally happens to our brains, especially as we move into middle age. It's like a computer that has been running for years and just needs a little more time to process information. This is normal and not a cause for alarm. Alzheimer's, however, is a very different story. It's not just about being forgetful. It's a neurodegenerative disorder where brain cells gradually die, neural connections break apart, and memory and thinking abilities slowly disappear. People with Alzheimer's don't just forget small details. They can forget important life experiences, lose their way in a familiar neighborhood, or fail to recognize the faces of loved ones. This represents a fundamental breakdown in how the brain functions, far beyond ordinary age-related memory lapses. According to the U.S. National Institute on Aging, age-related memory decline usually doesn't disrupt daily life significantly. In contrast, Alzheimer's can shatter nearly all essential functions: communication, financial management, and even the ability to care for oneself. This distinction is key to understanding the difference between normal forgetfulness and a true neurological disease. I once had a patient named John. He often complained about misplacing his keys or mixing up appointment times. His family worried it was Alzheimer's, but after evaluation, it turned out the cause was simply sleep deprivation and chronic stress. Once he improved his sleep and reduced stress, his memory recovered. On the other hand, another patient, Eleanor, faced much more serious problems. She frequently got lost in the same neighborhood where she had lived for over 30 years. This was a clear sign of Alzheimer's and required immediate medical support. The important point is this: not everyone who forgets occasionally has Alzheimer's. Stress, lack of sleep, or poor nutrition can also cause forgetfulness. But when memory loss becomes persistent and interferes with familiar daily tasks, that's when it demands serious attention. To truly understand what Alzheimer's does to the brain, we need to look deeper into its mechanisms. Think of the brain as a bustling city. Neurons are the houses, and electrical signals are the roads that connect them. When everything runs smoothly, information flows quickly, and our thoughts and memories remain sharp. But when Alzheimer's begins, those roads slowly crumble, the electrical system falters, and one by one, the houses collapse. Scientists have discovered that Alzheimer's is marked by the buildup of amyloid plaques and tau tangles in the brain. Amyloid acts like garbage left on the streets, gradually blocking traffic. Tau proteins twist and tangle like burned electrical wires, disrupting communication between neurons. Over time, this combination erodes memory, language, and even basic functions. A well-known Harvard study revealed that amyloid buildup can begin years before symptoms appear. This means that by the time we notice memory loss, the brain may have already been suffering silent damage for a long time. That's why early detection and prevention are so critical. I once spoke with Margaret, a retired teacher. At first, she only noticed that she was slower when reading or grading papers. But later, she began struggling to remember familiar recipes or even how to use her washing machine. Brain scans showed shrinkage in her hippocampus, the brain's memory hub. That was a clear sign of Alzheimer's progression. What makes this disease even more devastating is that as the brain changes, not only memory but also emotions and personality may shift. Some patients become irritable and short-tempered, while others grow distant and unrecognizable to their loved ones. For families, this stage is heartbreaking, watching a loved one slowly lose their essence. The hopeful news is that science is advancing. Researchers today better understand Alzheimer's mechanisms and are working on therapies to slow the buildup of amyloid plaques and stabilize tau proteins. While we don't yet have a cure, modern medicine is opening doors to hope for those facing this disease. And next, we'll explore the risk factors that make some people more vulnerable to Alzheimer's, and, most importantly, what you can do starting today to lower your risk. When people think of Alzheimer's, they often associate it with aging. It's true that age plays a major role. After 65, the risk increases significantly, but age alone doesn't explain everything. In fact, multiple factors combine to determine why some people develop Alzheimer's while others remain sharp well into their 90s. One key factor is genetics. If a parent or sibling has Alzheimer's, your risk is higher. Scientists have identified the APOE4 gene, which can increase the buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. But genetics is not destiny. I've met many people carrying this gene who, thanks to healthy lifestyles, maintained strong memory and cognition throughout their lives. Genes may open the door of risk, but lifestyle often decides whether you walk through it. Lifestyle and medical conditions also matter. Obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol all damage blood vessels, reducing oxygen and nutrient supply to the brain. This is why doctors emphasize weight control, balanced nutrition, and regular exercise, not just for heart health, but for memory as well. Studies show that people who are sedentary, socially isolated, or rarely engage in mental activities face a higher risk of Alzheimer's. The brain, like a muscle, weakens if it isn't exercised. On the other hand, reading, learning new skills, playing instruments, or engaging in meaningful conversations can build what scientists call cognitive reserve, the brain's natural defense system. William, a man in his 70s, studied Spanish daily, even though amyloid was present in his brain. His symptoms were minimal. In contrast, Linda, in her early 60s, lived alone, ate poorly, and was inactive. Her Alzheimer's symptoms appeared early and progressed quickly. Other risk factors include head injuries, smoking, heavy alcohol use, and chronic stress. Long-term stress elevates cortisol, directly damaging the hippocampus, the brain's memory hub. This explains why people living under constant stress often experience memory decline earlier. The key point: Alzheimer's doesn't stem from one cause, but from many working together. The good news is that most of them are under our control. You can't change your age or genes, but you can shape how you eat, move, sleep, and connect with others. If Alzheimer's is a silent thief of memory, then a healthy lifestyle is the lock you can build to protect yourself. Research clearly shows that while we cannot eliminate risk entirely, we can significantly lower it through daily habits, and the earlier we start, the stronger the protection. One essential strategy is nutrition. The Rush University Mind Diet study found that people who ate leafy greens, whole grains, fish, olive oil, berries, and nuts had up to a 50% lower risk of Alzheimer's. It doesn't mean giving up favorite foods, but prioritizing natural, unprocessed options and avoiding refined sugar and saturated fats. Exercise is another powerful tool. Just 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week, brisk walking, swimming, or cycling, can substantially reduce dementia risk. It's not about intensity but consistency and sustainability. Sleep is equally vital. During deep sleep, the brain clears away amyloid waste. Chronic sleep deprivation allows harmful proteins to build up, raising Alzheimer's risk. Some patients improved memory and focus significantly just by turning off devices at night and creating a restful sleep environment. Challenging the brain with new experiences also helps. Learning a language, playing an instrument, doing puzzles, or taking online classes all strengthen neural connections and build cognitive reserve. Social engagement is another critical factor. Loneliness is now recognized as a major risk for dementia. Harvard's 75-year study found that quality relationships not only extend lifespan but also preserve mental sharpness into old age. Finally, managing stress and cultivating positivity are essential. Practices like meditation, yoga, deep breathing, or simple hobbies can lower cortisol and protect memory. I've seen patients regain clarity by practicing just 10 minutes of meditation each morning. The core truth is this: Alzheimer's prevention doesn't come from a single big change, but from hundreds of small choices repeated daily. Every healthy meal, every walk, every good night's sleep, every meaningful conversation, together, they build a brain resilient against this disease. Next, we'll turn to real-life stories where these strategies have been put into practice, offering hope and lessons for all of us. Science always brings us numbers and evidence, but sometimes it is real-life stories that touch the heart and help us better understand the power of daily choices. In this part, I want to share with you some true stories from patients and families I have accompanied, so you can see that no matter how frightening Alzheimer's may be, we can still find hope and strength in everyday life. Let's begin with the story of Helen, a woman in her 70s from California. When she was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's, her family was deeply worried and almost devastated. But instead of giving up, they chose to change their lifestyle together. Helen started attending yoga classes for seniors, followed the Mediterranean diet, and most importantly, spent more time playing with her grandchildren. 6 years later, although her memory had declined somewhat, she still recognized her family members, could cook simple meals, and joined family gatherings. Her family said that Alzheimer's was no longer a death sentence, but rather a reminder to live more fully each day. Another example is Richard, a former engineer in Texas. He carries the APOE4 gene, a gene that increases the risk of Alzheimer's, and many thought he would not be able to avoid the disease. However, he adopted a scientific lifestyle early on, walking 5 kilometers daily, eating healthy, keeping his passion for technical books, and learning guitar at the age of 65. Now in his 80s, his memory remains stable, and doctors all agree that his proactive lifestyle helped him lock Alzheimer's out. I also cannot forget Nancy's case, when she began forgetting dates and confusing the names of loved ones. Her family took her for a checkup and received a diagnosis of mid-stage Alzheimer's. Instead of letting her fade away in loneliness, her daughter brought her to a community support group. There, Nancy was encouraged to paint, sing, and tell stories. Even though she could not remember the details of her paintings, she still felt joy and connection. Miraculously, that positive spirit slowed the progression of her disease, allowing her to keep her smile and warmth until the end of her life. These stories teach us that Alzheimer's is not only a medical battle but also a journey of love, perseverance, and faith. We may not control all factors, but we can absolutely control how we face the disease, by living healthier, staying connected, and finding meaning in each moment. And perhaps the most important lesson from these experiences is this: Alzheimer's does not have to take everything away. It may take part of memory, but it cannot take away love, sharing, and hope if we know how to nurture them. In the next part, we will summarize this journey together, to better understand what truly matters in protecting the brain and enjoying a meaningful life, despite the challenges that Alzheimer's brings. After a long journey exploring the basics of memory, the biology of the brain, risk factors, prevention strategies, and inspiring real-life stories, it is now time to pause and reflect on the most important lessons. Alzheimer's may feel like a dark cloud hanging over many families, but as you have seen, it is not an unchangeable destiny. With scientific understanding and proactive choices, we can do much to protect both our brains and our quality of life. The first lesson is this: the brain must be nourished like a living body. That means giving it the right kind of energy with healthy foods, less refined sugar, more vegetables and fruits, good fats, and quality proteins. The brain cannot function well if it is fueled with artificial, empty calories. Remember, what you eat every day is the fuel that shapes your clarity of mind for the future. The second lesson is that movement and physical exercise are not only good for muscles or the heart, they are a true gift for the brain. Every step, every breath during exercise stimulates the brain to produce growth factors like BDNF, which help build and maintain neural connections. So don't view exercise as a burden. See it as watering your brain to keep it thriving. The third lesson is that sleep is not just rest, it is the brain's cleaning and restructuring process. During sleep, the brain clears waste, restores connections, and reorganizes memories. If you neglect sleep, you rob your brain of the chance to heal itself and guard against Alzheimer's. Make sleep a priority. Enough hours, deep rest, and consistent habits. The fourth lesson is that the mind needs challenge and stimulation for life. Learning a new skill, reading, playing an instrument, or engaging in social activities all keep the brain active and resilient. The more diverse experiences you have, the more backup pathways your brain builds to stay strong against disease. And the final, perhaps most important lesson: love and social connection are priceless medicine. Recent studies show that loneliness is one of the greatest risk factors for memory decline and Alzheimer's. On the other hand, the presence of family, friends, and community provides the foundation for joy, dignity, and resilience. Alzheimer's may take memories, but it cannot take away the feeling of being loved and connected. So when you leave this video, carry with you this message: preventing Alzheimer's is not a one-day action, but a lifestyle built step by step each day. It is persistence, wise choices, and above all, the belief that we can actively protect our memory and mental clarity. If you find this information helpful, stay connected with the Seniors Together channel, where we explore, share, and practice habits that make life healthier, more fulfilling, and more meaningful, because in the end, our goal is not only to live longer, but to live clearer, happier, and with more love.